start off with a quote from Maya Angelou. We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty. I think people are a lot like caterpillars. Caterpillars can form, grow, and change in order to become something beautiful, desirable. A butterfly. People are the same way. We grow, go on the journey of life, and conform ourselves to be the ultimate desirable trait, successful or respectable. However, it must be noted that when you struggle to conform, when you're not as close to what you have to conform to, you have to work much harder. This is a truth, especially for people of color and other marginalized groups, who have likely heard the phrase, you have to work twice as hard to get half as far. You have to fight to fit in, work harder than anyone else around you, and then, once you seem average enough, or on the same level, you have to work again to be seen as excellent, above what people perceive you as. In both life and death, we have to fight. An example of this is Breonna Taylor. When we first heard her name 2 years ago, it was alongside the news that she was killed in her home while asleep. When news articles were written about her, they made sure to define her as an EMT, an aspiring nurse, and a young person who had her entire life ahead of her. These are details that they made sure we knew when hearing her story. These definitions changed how people saw her. They were used to create empathy, which is important, but it brings up a question. Why? A person is a person, right? No matter what they did or who they were. People even went as far as to try to discredit her achievements to make her seem less worthy of the life that was taken away from her. When she had no voice, she was still forced to fight for the right to live, or to have had a life. My mom told me that every choice you make determines the headlines that the news will create about you. Every grade you get, everything you aspire to be, will be simplified into a few words. This can be seen not only in Breonna Taylor, but in much bigger influences in the world, like the Carters and LeBron James. These people had to work tirelessly for decades to be seen as respectable, not just in the Black community, but everywhere. Now, they're super successful figures that we all look up to. Still, they face challenges, setbacks. They struggle to be seen as respected, but now that they are, they have a platform, a voice, and a way to give back. However, if you haven't done a billion amazing things like them, then how will you be heard? It's a question I had for a long time. I was not the person who was getting Grammys or joining the NBA. I'm a 16-year-old girl, and I didn't know how I could make my voice heard if I hadn't done incredible things. Like Nicholas Johnson, for example, the first Black valedictorian of Princeton. Princeton is almost 300 years old, right? So when I heard about Nicholas Johnson, of course, I was thrilled. This was amazing. This was shattering glass ceilings, breaking boundaries, making history. However, it made me feel almost a sense of doubt, not just because someone was doing something I don't think I could ever do, but also because it took 274 years for this school, one of the best in the nation, to have a Black valedictorian, for someone to break through the boundaries that were set for them. When this story came out, a lot of people wondered, what took so long? But people also wondered, how did he do that? And it's because, as a Black man, people don't see him as someone, initially, who can be spectacular, the best out of everyone, no matter their race. There's doubt that comes with the way you look. When you step into a room and no one looks like you, there are perceptions placed on you. No matter what you say or what you do, they're still going to linger. People will define you off of one glance, the way you hold yourself, the way you look at all. People will label you. And when you're the only person in a room of people who don't look like you, you want to make sure that if they have bad perceptions of you, they don't when you leave. You want to be the best, the most successful, the best they've ever seen. You want to change their definition of you with people who look like you. You want to be super. But that's a lot of pressure. People will label you and tell you what you can and can't be. I felt that in my life. I am a person who loves to talk. I can be kind of loud because I get excited. And even without that context, people will automatically assume that I'm aggressive or angry or irritating because of what they think about people who look like me. So I often feel the need to have to prove them wrong and tell them and show them that I'm so much more than what they see at a glance. I can be so much more than the athlete who doesn't know anything. And I can be more than just the nerd who can't do anything. I don't have to be just one thing. And I don't have to be what someone tells me that I am. An example of this is Megan Thee Stallion. If you don't know who Megan Thee Stallion is, she's a Grammy Award-winning rapper. And she's known for her songs about having a good time and having faith in yourself. But while she was touring across the country and around the world, she was also making sure to get her education. And recently she graduated with a degree in healthcare. She didn't let people define her, and she created her own narrative, which is very important to me. Narratives can change how you view your possibilities and your capabilities. This especially speaks to me because I love to read. I'm more of a romance girl at heart, but I try to broaden it out. But one thing I noticed when I was reading all these romance books, these epic love stories, was that a lot of the main characters did not look like me. And I started to get bored. It was the same white love triangle. And then when I did try to go out of my box and find stories about people who look like me, I noticed that a lot of them were struggle stories. Making out of the hood, or having a baby at 15, not having another parent in the picture. The stories about people who look like me were about loss. They weren't about what we could do, but what we had to survive. And I was tired of it, so I had to dig deeper. And though it took some time, I was able to find stories about people who look like me that could make me see myself in a different light. Not as someone who had to break boundaries and be the smartest so no one would think I was struggling, but as someone who could fall in love or talk about their family, have a good time. Someone who could go on an adventure, find magic. Someone who could do so much more than what people told them they could. And so, I started to talk about it with my peers and with myself. I created an organization with a friend called The Color of Youth, and now we share stories of young people of color. We talk about our experiences, we share art, we share writing, and we host events. We created a platform that wasn't given to us, but one that we made on our own. We innovated our own excellence and stopped letting other people's standards define us. And not just with my friends, but with myself, I created a podcast where I talk about my experience in finding books that I could relate to, and finding my own journey, and being able to see myself in a different light. So, what I want you to leave with is knowing that you don't have to be what everyone expects you to be. And you don't have to let other people's definitions define you. You can make your own. So I made it for you. This is my definition of excellence. To be excellent, in my mind, is to be your authentic self. Celebrate what makes you unique, and strive to achieve your ever-changing goals. Thank you.